My name is Mike Picard. I'm the president of the school board, the board of trustees for Sunol Glen Unified School District. And I'm here to talk to you about Measure O, which is a school facility improvement bond that we're putting on the March 2020 ballot. Hopefully people are coming here for some information on it. Basically, the issue we have at Sunol Glen School is the original main building, the historical building, was built in 1925, and then our school cafeteria was built in 1950. The school is aging. Some of the infrastructure is kind of falling apart, specifically the electrical, plumbing, and the sewer systems. So what we're asking the community for is to come behind the school, support us. The school has always been a central focal point of the town. It's a great meeting spot. Our Sunol Citizens Advisory Council meets there. Our 4-H meets there. The Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. We have our Sunol Repertory Theater there. On top of the school just being just a place where all the students come and obviously attend school there. The goal of Measure O is to get the funds needed to repair and replace a leaky roof on the main building. We have done some patching, temporary repairs on it, but the roof is going to be completely replaced. Also, we need to replace some infrastructure and the plumbing, the electrical, and the sewer systems. And we have some pictures of those. Also, our goal is to build a multi-purpose room that will replace the cafeteria that was built in the 1950s. We also have some security, safety, and ADA compliance issues. Our building was so old, it was before any of the Disabilities Act was in place. So we have issues with ramps for access. We have issues with our restroom facilities, our egress and entrance, such as panic hardware, that sort of thing. Even to get up on the stage, there's performers that are in the repertory theater, or there's people, either students or staff, that need to get up there, let's say for a graduation ceremony, for making a speech or presentation. They can't even get up on the stage. When we have family members, grandparents, and people, even students that have access issues, they need a walker, a wheelchair, they're challenged with, they're facing steps or ramps that are too steep. Bathrooms, they have to go all the way down the hall to our ADA compliant bathroom. It's probably 100 yards away from the main building. Also, we're looking at doing security and safety, like I said, just for issues with schools nowadays, and some of the issues in our society. We want to make sure our students are safe. Also, we're hoping to get a new technology lab. Theme, science, technology, math, and engineering are a big deal. So we want to keep our students in a position where they're competitive going into high school, where a lot of schools today have those already. Going back to the multi-purpose room, some people are saying, you don't need a multi-purpose room, but I disagree, and here's why. We have a lot of issues with just natural disasters and weather. Our school had to close the school down for smoke a couple days last year, and we get freezing cold temperatures and we get super hot over 100 temperatures. And for PE, our students, they're forced to either cancel PE or they have to do something inside a classroom when it's raining, and when it's super cold or super hot, those weather extremes. If we have a multi-purpose room, then we can have physical education inside. They can have a gymnasium, where now currently, if they have to be inside, they're in an auditorium. In addition, with the multi-purpose room, since it is a focal point of the community, it's going to be a tremendous help to the community itself for meetings. Our SCAC meets there, the 4-H, like I said, and the Scouts. Also, with the threat of wildfires, floods, earthquakes that we have in our area, especially, everybody's familiar with what happened in Paradise and up in Santa Rosa. If we have something like that in our community, we can use a large multi-purpose room to house people. The Red Cross can set up a disaster center, relief center there. We don't have a gym. We don't have an inside space that's big enough to house all of our students or all the parents. So when we have a graduation or when we have our science fair, and things are just crammed into our auditorium, it's just not enough to hold everybody. Almost pushing to the level of our occupancy. Being a firefighter, I'm really concerned about our occupancy levels. So having a multi-purpose room that is much bigger than our auditorium and bigger than our cafeteria, it's probably going to be bigger than both of them put together. We'll be able to have some of our big events, our science fairs, our graduation ceremonies. Currently, our buildings are too small for that. I've also heard people, very interesting, just a few people say, we shouldn't even have a school district here. Why do we have a school here? They should just be going to school somewhere else in Pleasanton or Fremont. I disagree with that. Our school is just such a great focal point for our community. It pulls everyone together. If our kids do not have a school district to go to from K through 8, they're going to have to be bused somewhere else. Another thing that people don't think about is we're fortunate that we have such a small, tight community. We had our last bond was 20 years ago, and we built a whole wing of the school so we can have better classrooms, better places for the students, more room, more teachers. And if we didn't have that, they're going to be going somewhere else. What people don't think about is then we'll be paying the bond measures for these other big school districts. And I don't think we want that. We'll be paying probably, it's up to maybe 6 or 7 times the amount of what we're paying for in Sunol versus a big school district like Pleasanton or Fremont. Currently, bond we're shooting for is going to be $9.5 million. Will be paid over 30 to 35 years. Currently, the existing bond is $49 per 100,000 of assessed property value. And don't confuse that with the actual, selling value of your house. Like if you're going to sell your house, it was worth $2 million. That's going to be a lot different than what your assessed property value is with the county assessor's office. So what we're proposing is a $59 per 100,000. So basically it's a $10 increase, which if you think about it, it kind of goes along with just the cost of living increases from 20 years ago. Some people are asking why we want to push for the bond now. What's the rush? What's the big deal? We've kind of waited maybe too long. The school is not falling around our ears, but it's definitely aging and it needs a lot of work. If we wait any longer, we are going to be faced with increased construction costs, increased labor costs, and materials costs. Those costs are not going to go down. The longer we wait, like I said, the more issues we're going to have with costs rising, going up. So for the community to get behind this and support it, I think it's super important, not just for the students of the school, but just for the community itself. People don't realize that having an excellent school district really increases your property values. So when you go to sell your home, your property value will increase with an excellent school district like the one we have now. The old bond, which is going to be up in 2024, that will translate from, okay, we're paying $49 per $100,000 of property value now, then we'll be paying $59 per $100,000 property value. It is a $10 increase in what you're used to paying, but in my opinion, it's at the cost of doing business. We're not going to be able to tackle projects of this magnitude without a bond measure. I'm a new board member. We kind of came into the school personally here to just give back to the community. My son graduated from Sunol Glen. He went from 4th to 8th grade. It's a real strong community. I wanted to give something back. I came on as a school board trustee. I ran unopposed, so I didn't have any agenda other than just to be there to help out. So I came in with like a fresh set of eyes. And what I saw was, being a school parent, I drop off the kid at school, or I'm there for graduation, or for the Sunol walk that they did, walk around the track, the fundraiser. Don't really get to see a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. So walking around the school and being there more, I did notice that, wow, there's plaster falling from the ceiling. The panic hardware is not your regular school panic hardware. It's just like it's a pipe that's bolted to the door. I'm a retired fire battalion chief, so I spent 25, 30 years in the fire service. So seeing all these kind of like a red flag to me that, hey, we need to do something. And that is one of our jobs as school board trustees, is to plan for facility needs, look at the school as this fresh set of eyes. We looked at, hey, you know what, we need to do something about this. We can't just let it go. Especially the roof of the school. That was a big thing. When we had a big, huge leak over the summer, they had a company come in and just kind of do a temporary fix on it just to keep the rain from falling in, but it's going to need to be replaced for sure. We're not trying to change the character of the school, the historical view of it from the outside. That's not what we want to do. We want to maintain as much as we can of the outside, the tile roof, just the stuff that the community is used to seeing every day when they drive by. The money that we get from the state for each average daily attendance for each student, that's taken up by just regular maintenance. It takes care of our utilities, and it takes care of our wages, benefits, salaries of our staff. And it does not provide enough to do these huge projects that we're talking about. We have applied for grants, but again, a grant is not going to cover the cost of these big projects that we have on our list. The way we came up with the list is we got a group together of stakeholders, if you will. It was a school board, teachers and staff. We got some community members, school parents. We got together and we all brainstormed. We just sat there and write down every single thing that on a wish list that you might want, that either that the school needs, or hey, this would be a nice to have. What's interesting is that almost all of us had listed the top 5 things that we have on our list. And then there were some other ones that are added on, which most likely we can apply for grants for smaller things like, hey, we need to resurface the parking lot, or we can redecorate some of the classrooms with modern desks or tables. Those are things that are affordable with a grant. But these big projects, there's no way that we could do it without this measure passing. I think almost all of the students in together at once. Right now we can't do that. So if there's any sort of presentation, we've got to split it up. They have like a drama club play that they put on the students in the in the middle school. They've got to do one for, say, first through fourth, and then another one for fifth through eighth. Having a multi-purpose room like that, we'd be able to get all of them in there at once. There are even the middle schools. They in the areas in Fremont, Pleasanton, they all have a multi-purpose room or a gym. But to give our students the same opportunities that these other school districts have, it's paramount that we get a multi-purpose room like that. It's just being able to be in the same space together, being able to play inside when the weather is bad, either if it's freezing outside or it's super hot, or if it's smoky. Having those the ability to have those sports just really helps the kids feel good about themselves, learn about teamwork and playing together and competition. And if we don't have that, our students will really be lacking compared to some of the other school districts that are nearby. So one thing that's really a safeguard for us is funds have to be spent locally in our school district. So we're fortunate that we are a one school district. Other school districts pass a bond measure, and maybe there's 10 schools that have to kind of divide the money up. They each have their own projects, and one school's project might not even be paid for with that bond. So we're fortunate with that. When we get our funds, they're going to be earmarked specifically for facilities. They're not going to be used for salaries, wages, benefits, only for facility maintenance and improvements. The other thing that we are going to have is a Citizens Oversight Committee. We've got this list, a specific list of projects that we want to complete, and we're going to make sure that with this Citizens Oversight Committee that they have a say in what's going to get done and what's not going to get done, and also what things are going to look like in the end. And then as a group, we can decide, we're not going to make everybody happy, but we'll make the majority of the people happy with what the finished result is going to look like. We've reached out to the community, to some political figures and stuff. So we've got a lot of people behind us that are endorsing us. Both supervisors are endorsing Measure O. We'd also like to thank the Sunol Business Guild, and they voted unanimously to support Measure O. We also got the endorsement of the San Jose Mercury News and the reporter Dan Bornstein, but he does a very thorough job of looking at every measure and every political figure that's running for office. And so we were one of the school measures, facility improvement measures, that was endorsed by them. And there are some that they did not endorse. So I think that's really important to note, that they did their due diligence in looking at ours and saying, hey, this is something that we can get behind. If we pass a measure for $9.5 million, we can also have state matching funds. If we have a bond in place, we can at least get $1 million in matching funds, maybe more. If we don't have a bond measure passed, we're going to get $0 from the state. It'd be really important to get this ballot measure passed in this election coming up in March. Of note is our student population. 80% of the Sunol Glen students are inter-district transfers, which means obviously only 20% of the students at Sunol Glen actually live in Sunol. What we do as Sunol Glen Unified School District is we really count on these other people coming in to help us have the school that we have today. We get an amount daily per student that we bring in for our budget. Without the 80% of the other people coming from elsewhere, we wouldn't be able to attract the teachers and staff that we have. And we have an excellent school, excellent education program. And a lot of the programs we have would not be in place if it wasn't for the ADA that we get from people coming from elsewhere. There's a waiting list at our school. It's a very desirable school for kids. It's kind of a small town feel. It's simpler. You can go back in time and say, it just seems like people are just more wholesome, more friendly to each other. Parents say hi to each other. We have a garden, a huge garden that a lot of parents and the students help out at. We wouldn't have our art program. We wouldn't have our music program and our drama program and a lot of our after-school care programs if it wasn't for the entire school population, which includes the 80% of people coming from elsewhere. As a school district in Sunol, we only pay for Sunol Glen Unified School District. We don't pay for any of the bond measures that are in Fremont or Pleasanton or Livermore, where a lot of these students are coming from, or Union City. The school itself is built in 1925. I mean, it just didn't pop up by itself. It was by a lot of people making sacrifices way back in the 1920s to get this school built. And it's here for us to enjoy. And there's a lot of people that feel like we have an outstanding school. It is the best school in the area, but it's not going to stay that way without the help of the community. And so to make the best better, we can do that by everybody pitching in and helping out and coming together and passing this measure, I think now's the time to make our move as a community.